Here, I'm displaying the repositories with the most stars, starred by many. The top spot goes to n8n, which is a tool for workflow automation that I really like and have introduced many times in my videos already. Besides that, we also have open WebUI, Excalidraw. Scroll down and you'll see Langflow here, Nocodb here, AutoGen Studio here. Then anything LLM, Odoo, Simplify here, Flowise, Calcom. So, as you can see, there are a lot of open source applications here. To deploy, click Deploy Now. Then this interface appears. You'll need to set a project name. Project name, I'll name it n8n. Now click the Deploy App button and that's it. RepoCloud has now deployed the n8n application successfully for me already. There's an address here that we can access. When I click here, it will show the address so we can use this application. There, you see, with just one click, I've already finished deploying n8n and now I can just start using it. I don't have to waste time on struggling to deploy the application anymore. And I will use that time to start using it and making the most of this tool. To create value for myself, the value RepoCloud brings. The platform that I'm introducing today will help you all. Its cheapest package comes with 1 GB of RAM, 1 vCPU, and 20 GB of SSD storage. The price you have to pay is $0.0042 per hour and $3 per month. Hello, hi everyone, I'm Min Duk and I'm back again. Hi everyone, welcome to my video. I'm going to introduce a platform that's interesting and useful, which is RepoCloud. To put it simply, RepoCloud is an open source app marketplace, which means it's a marketplace that gathers open source applications that users can deploy with just one click. You heard that right. With just one click, you can deploy hundreds of open source applications. So this platform has a very user-friendly interface, super easy to use to help users not tech savvy and roll out open source applications without having to worry about complicated stuff or any of those server management tasks. So as you can see on the screen, this is the website of RepoCloud. Repo here stands for repository, meaning the repos on GitHub. Open source code is all stored on GitHub. I'll put the link to the RepoCloud website in the video description below. Down there, okay? If you use my link, you'll get a few dollars to try out the platform. Besides that, I'll also get a small affiliate payment, not much, but you can see it as a way to support me. Another really important thing is to avoid searching on Google where you may see websites. Or sometimes you might type the name of the app or website wrong, and then it leads you to scam sites. Scam you. This is the RepoCloud interface. Here, I'm displaying the repos with the most stars, meaning they've been starred by a lot of people. You can also see that the top spot is n8n. n8n is my favorite workflow automation tool, which I have shown in my videos. Besides that, we also have Open WebUI. This Open WebUI is for when you want to use local AI models, AI running locally, then this will be an interface, so we can interact with those AI models with interface over them. Excalidraw. Maybe you already know about Excalidraw. Then, if we scroll down a bit here, there's Langflow. Next chat. I don't know about Uptime Kuma Graph Anastropy Lobe Chat Sterling PDF. Nocodb, which is a replacement for Airtable. Nocodb is open source, maybe finance. Joplin, Pocketbase, Substreamer, this AutoGen Studio, anything LLM. I'm also planning to introduce this app in one of my upcoming videos. Then Odoo is an open source CRM and Simplifies. Flowise. Calcom. So, as you can see, there are a lot of open source applications here. So we can search by all apps here, which means all the applications. Most stars means the ones with the most stars. Most watching means the most watched. And most forks means the most forked. Then under platforms, the new ones include Flowise and .ploy. So there are a lot of open source applications here. I'll demo how to deploy an open source app. For n8n, there's a deploy button. I'll click it. Then you'll go to the page for this open source application, which has information about the tool. This is n8n introduction. SaaS alternative, categories, stars, forks, followers, and developer links. There's an info tab, a features tab, and a videos tab. To deploy, just click the Deploy Now button. Tap this to view. Here, you'll need to set a project name. For the project name, I'll set it to n8n and leave the default option auto. Scale compute and storage resources, so it will scale computing power and storage. More on this. Dynamic scaling of this repo cloud soon. Click Deploy App. Nope, that failed. Now it's requiring that this has at least 6 characters. I'll add n8n automation and set it. Now I'll deploy the app. There you go, simple. And now we'll wait a bit for it to automatically deploy this app for us. That's exactly the purpose of this cloud repo, guys, which is to deploy open source applications with just one click. We just click, wait for deployment, then use it. Nothing else. So while we're waiting for that repo cloud to deploy an n8n application for us, I'll explain a bit about some issues, especially the ones non-tech folks will run into when trying to deploy open source software. If you guys are the type who like to tinker around, then maybe you'll know a fact that there are a lot of really cool, very powerful software out there, and they're completely open source, which means we can totally self-host, use them ourselves, or even commercialize them completely for free. In the previous example, I demoed with n8n, but n8n isn't 100% open source. To be more precise, the developers use the term fair code. Anyway, the code for n8n can be deployed and we can self-host it for our own use. There are many open source software, and if we deploy and self-host them ourselves, then we can use them completely for free. But what's the issue here? The issue here is that we need to know how to deploy these open source software, and this deploy part is not simple at all, you guys. For example, here I have the n8n repo on GitHub. Now I'll quickly scroll for you to see the deployment guide for n8n. Quick start section is concise. So here they guide you to use n8n with this npx, or you can also deploy it with Docker. That's it. It's just this brief. For me, I also have. I understand this, but if you're not tech savvy, I'm sure if you've read this far, you don't know what to do. What is npx? What is node.js? And this code snippet, where do I copy and paste it? And then Docker. It's looking at like this is already overwhelming, not even knowing what it is. And if you click here, it jumps to a page. Docker, or the installation guide page. For Docker, that's a whole other story. It's a long story in itself. So, for those of you who are non-tech and want to deploy an open source software, but don't have the foundational knowledge, you won't know where to start or what steps to take. For example, another repo is WebUI. This is also an open source software. With a lot of stars, it's configurable, and if we know how to use it, we can use WebUI for free. Now, scroll to the deploy section. If you're not technical and see a GitHub page with text like this, you might feel pretty confused. It's overwhelming. For example, the deploy section says, how to install. Now they're talking about Python and PIP, so we can install and use it. PIP is a Python package installer. You have to use Python 3.11 to avoid compatibility issues. Instructions simple. First, install WebUI using PIP command. Install WebUI. then running Open WebUI, Open Web we serve. So for those of you who don't have any background knowledge, who don't know how to install and use these open source tools, not sure what to do, here's the installation guide. Docker, you can see the whale icon here. So now I'll scroll down and you'll see that this instruction section is even longer. There's more to it. Doesn't it look scarier? There's info here, installation, default setup, and OpenAI install. API only. Then installing Open WebUI with a bundle. That supports Alama, too. Other installation methods. Troubleshooting. Keeping your Docker installation up to date. Using dev branch, offline mods. See, there's a lot of information here. I guarantee that when you see this, you'll feel confused. Not knowing. You'll give up finding open source software to use it for free. Installing it looks hard and takes effort. It's just too much for you. So these are exactly the problems that regular users, non-tech people, struggle with when they want to deploy open source software. Here, I used Perplexity to list out a few issues. So these main challenges are basically lack of user-friendliness, missing a user-friendly interface, easy to use, and limited documentation. The guides and manuals are limited or unclear. The setup is complicated and you handle issues. Dependencies, which are the relationships between different libraries or tools. There's no official support channel. Then there are issues with security and maintenance, problems with integration and compatibility. A steep learning curve means learning new things is really tough because we lack the basics. There are issues that regular users deploy. These open source software, many of you know open source software that you can get if you can actually use open source software, but you just can't get past the barrier, the obstacle to deploying and using this software. And even after you've deployed it, every time you want to update or maintain it, that's also a big problem, and you can't handle it on your own. So that's exactly the problem that Repo Cloud wants to solve, to help non-tech users be able to use open source software in an extremely simple way. And you can deploy open source software with just one click. Literally, really, with just one click. You can deploy hundreds of open source applications and tools. But if you try to deploy them yourself, you'll struggle. You might get stuck and not handle it yourself. Back here I see Repo Cloud has already deployed the n8n application for me. It will change the status to online, and there's an address here we can access. Yeah, when I click here, it will drop down the address so we can use this application. That's it. So now I just need to fill in the information here. I'll just fill in some sample info here as an example for you guys. Okay, see, as you can see, with just one click, deployed n8n. And now I can just start using it. What does it mean? I don't have to waste time deploying the application. And I will use that time to start learning to use it, building. Exactly. The value that Repo Cloud brings, the platform. What I introduce helps you. I'll jump in and introduce. Repo Cloud lets you deploy many apps. To add one, just deploy it. New app, return here to find an application to use. Bolt.diy, Nocodb. For instance, you just deploy and click this Deploy Now button here. Then it will deploy that application for you. Just wait a few minutes and it will finish deploying. After everything has finished deploying, it will list out the list of applications that you currently have on your Repo Cloud account. Now, to manage an application, click Manage. The interface is simple. Rename the project. Edit environment variables. So, this part, I think, is a bit more advanced. Don't mess with things editing environment variables. Just leave them as they are. Then we can view logs and edit the Docker image. I think these features are a bit advanced compared to. You don't need to use them. Down here we have the cloud repo URL. We can add our own custom domain. As for the server size, right now it's set to auto-scaling, which means it scales automatically. I'll talk more about this part in a bit. You guys can view the usage chart, which shows the usage graph. Just click here and you'll see the graph. It shows the usage level of this application over time. If you want to learn more, down here there are some instructions. This is a guide, and this guide will be customized depending on the application we're currently using. So here, this guide is specifically for this n8n instance only. Alright, lastly, the server status is currently online. We can pause the server, we can rebuild, and update it whenever we want to. Update our application to the latest version on GitHub. So we just need to click this button. It's really simple. No need to do anything else at all. All the information, all our data will still be saved. So to update, we just need to click this one button. Super simple. Finally, if we don't want to use it anymore, we can just delete this server. You can also delete this application. So that's Repo Cloud and how to use Repo Cloud to deploy applications in software that are open source with one click. Isn't it simple? I'm finally introducing Repo Cloud now that I finally have a bit of time to introduce to you all a platform that's actually really interesting, and it solves a problem, a pain point that I find really cool, you know, because I myself have had times when I wanted to deploy open source software, and honestly, it was a struggle. There are just so many setup steps. I have to read the docs and all that, and honestly, there are quite a lot of errors during the setup process. Some software is simple, but some have complex deployment. So with Repo Cloud, it helped me solve the problem. Now I have hundreds of apps. There are 258 apps available. A lot, and I think the development team will update and add popular open source apps. With 258 apps, you have access to plenty of software that are useful and you can use right away. So just now, I already listed quite a lot of software, but for example, I can scroll through. See, there are a lot of names, from completely unfamiliar to somewhat familiar ones. Yeah, there are a ton of apps here. You can also search by these categories or search by alternatives, SaaS. That can replace apps. If we want a software to replace Airtable, for instance, maybe we really want to use Airtable, or we're already using and paying for Airtable, but it's actually quite expensive. So now we just click this card to see open source software similar to Airtable, like Nocodb in base row. Or, say, a software to replace Zapier. We have active pieces, n8n, Langflow, Kestra, and the automated Flowise, which I think can be as well. In category. If you find these names familiar, you've already started exploring this direction. Wanting open source software. A future video, I'll introduce some standout applications in this area that I think many people will be interested. Comment below. For example, if there's any open source software or application you want me to demo and introduce in a video. If you have thoughts, leave them in the comments below. Now, I'll explain more about the technology behind Repo Cloud. The most outstanding feature of Repo Cloud is its elastic, hourly auto-scaling and automatic hourly elastic scaling. I don't know how to translate. What's the purpose of this technology? It lets you pay for what you use. Charged by the hour, hourly. All of these plans will include vCPUs, Intel processors, NVMe SSD storage, and double data rate for random access memory, SSL certificate, custom domain, 1 GB network speed, and unlimited bandwidth. We can scale elastically with hourly billing. We can scale elastically and pay by the hour. Below here is the list of RepoCloud's plans. The cheapest package comes with 1 GB of RAM, 1 vCPU, 20 GB SSD storage. Price is $0.0042 per hour. $3 a month, 1 GB RAM, 1 vCPU, 20 GB storage. Now, if I click here, it will show a price comparison with other cloud services. RepoCloud 1 GB 1 CPU cheapest, $3 a month. AWS EC2 is $6, Azure is $6, DigitalOcean is $6. Google Cloud is $28, and there are a lot of other cloud providers like Linode Railway Render Replit Voltra Zebra Fly.io. They emphasize RepoCloud's price is the lowest on the market. It's cheap. The same hardware, they offer the lowest price on the market. So, about the plan. The next one has 2 GB RAM, 1 CPU, and 30 GB of storage, and the extremely expensive price is $0 and 0.0083 cents. We pay hourly. A month is $6. Upgrading gives 2 GB RAM. 2 vCPU is $9, so on and so on. We will have a price of $12, $24, $48, and $96. For $96, you get 32 GB of RAM, 16 GB CPU, and 312 GB memory. And if you want, buy SSD memory. Price is 10 cents per GB per month. Data transfer in is free. Data transfer out is 10 cents. This is the lowest price on the market that I could find. So this is the pricing table of RepoCloud. I think with the benefits and the value that RepoCloud brings, together with this insanely cheap pricing, I think this is a really solid choice when we want to deploy or use open source applications in a simple way without having to worry or waste time managing all the server-related issues ourselves. This RepoCloud solution is really made for regular users, those non-tech users. Honestly, I also really want to introduce Vietnamese-made software, Vietnamese platforms, but I just don't know of any solution similar to RepoCloud at all. So if any of you watching this video of mine and you think this is a really great idea and you have the potential, the capability to build a similar platform, then message me, okay? I'd be more than happy to introduce a platform similar to RepoCloud but built by Vietnamese people to my audience. I really think this is a super cool solution. It solves a very specific problem, a really big pain point, but I don't know why. I just don't see many people tackling this issue. Found out about RepoCloud, thought that's clever. Down here, they also explain in detail what's called dynamic scaling. They give an example, and it automatically scales up to 16 GB without any downtime. So instead of allocating, like providing an instance with a fixed 16 GB of memory at the price of $48 per month, this RepoCloud will adjust. It will adapt to. Usage drops to 1 GB of RAM for $3 per month. This can reduce costs 93%. With uninterrupted service, no downtime, your app keeps running. You don't need to stop or pause the server to scale it or to move it to bigger, more powerful hardware. With this dynamic scaling, we can run applications. Only pay for what you actually use, build hourly. With traditional DevOps, resources are often wasted. To pay for peak capacities when users access the system constantly. Us having to pay for those servers, which is very expensive. But most of the time, they sit idle, meaning they're not running most of the time, and RepoCloud's auto-scaling is the technology behind this. Solves this problem by optimizing resources in real time, and this scaling system constantly monitors the demand for necessary usage of the applications, and then automatically adjusts resources from minimal to powerful configuration instantly without downtime. And the pay-per-hour model ensures that we only have to pay for actual usage while maintaining consistent performance, even during times when demand, usage spikes, or suddenly surges. So this is a bit of an explanation about the dynamic scaling technology from RepoCloud Tech. See docs of RepoCloud to learn about elastic autoscaling. That explains in quite a lot of detail how this technology is used, so you can go there to read up. Examples help you learn. Technology, elastic autoscaling, RepoCloud is able to offer such affordable hardware prices like this. They've optimized their hardware so they can provide cheap prices, half the market's lowest. Note next. For you all, about RepoCloud, I've praised it from the start to the skies, non-stop. I'm not paid by them. Guys, I'm a user and I find this platform great, so I want to share it. If you follow my channel, I rarely introduce tools. With RepoCloud, note this platform is still very new and quite small, meaning for individual users. We see this platform brings value for us and for individual users. We might not have too many concerns about security or data safety. But for business customers, they must be careful before use. RepoCloud, since this platform is very new and actually quite small. If we want to learn more about RepoCloud, little info in the contact section. It only shows a contact form, so we don't really know the information about the company or the development team behind RepoCloud, who they are, or whether they're trustworthy, because when we use this platform, all of our data is stored on some server that they manage, and they might have full access rights. So that's also a risk, whether this development team, who they are, whether they're trustworthy, whether they use our sensitive information for any other purposes or not. So I've known about RepoCloud for quite a while now. This platform was built and developed by MV developers, meaning freelance developers. Here, it links to Product Hunt. The achievement of this product is that it reached second place as the product of the day. So when I click on this link, it will take me to the product page, RepoCloud's product. On Product Hunt, they have a 4.8 star rating, 8 reviews, and 1,100 followers on Product Hunt, so we can read more information about their product launch and also read more comments here where we can find information about the developer of RepoCloud. Here is the developer. We can read info and user reviews to help us decide whether this development team is trustworthy, whether it's worth using, and if there are risks. The development team, RepoCloud actually only has 2 people. Guys, now I'll click show more. This is the team. RepoCloud only has 2 developers. I'll open the profiles of these 2 developers for you to have a look. With this developer, they don't even use a real photo. They left a LinkedIn link, so I'll open LinkedIn. This seems like an empty profile. See, info says United States and America. No other info. Profile's empty. Second developer, photo and name. And some information on their Product Hunt profile. No social links, not LinkedIn or Twitter. So when you look at the team behind RepoCloud, it's actually just 2 developers. And even for these 2, the information isn't complete. Like I said, they're indie developers. If you want to use RepoCloud, consider this issue. That is, you're using a product from a small team and information about these developers is not complete or clear. On the other hand, their product I actually rated very highly, and it brings a lot of value. In short, for each user, you have to weigh the pros and cons when using RepoCloud. Personally, I use RepoCloud to test open source software. Guys, That means instead of jumping in and self-hosting myself, instead of installing these pieces of software myself, I just come here to try them out first. I'll experiment with the features, then test it out to see how it works and whether it meets my needs or not. So RepoPlow does this really well. I just need to come here, click once, and have a fully installed application ready to use right away, which saves me a lot of time. And after I've used it and found it okay, I can either keep using it on RepoCloud, or I can deploy it myself, self-host it on my own server. But at least at that point, I already tried out the software, and I know if it suits me, if it solves my problem. That's how I use RepoCloud. You guys can check it out too. Yeah. When it comes to payment, actually I use a service that lets me create virtual and single-use payment cards, so after payment, the card will be canceled immediately. Whenever I use new services or new products that require me to enter card payment details, I will use a single-use card or a virtual card to control its budget. This card service is not yet available in Vietnam. For me, I use those for new products or new services, where I also have some concerns about security, about data safety, about sensitive information. Then I will enter the payment method using a single-use card or a virtual card of mine. That's how I minimize risks when testing or trying out new software or applications when I lack information or lack trust in platform or team developers. Behind it, you can refer to my approach. This is a long video. Here, I introduced you to a platform, a very interesting marketplace called RepoCloud. This platform will help users, especially those of you who aren't tech-savvy, to deploy hundreds of open-source applications. Just one click, simple. Explore, test, and use. Try a lot of open source software. Open it, and if it is okay, then you can carry back for commercial software. Pay what you pay monthly. Interested? Then use the link in the video description below for trial RepoCloud, then comment here after trying to let me know. Besides that, if there's any open source software that you want me to make a video to demo or introduce to show you how to use it, leave a comment to let me know. Alright, this video is already quite long, so I'll wrap it up here. See you in the next video.